In this week's parasha, Joseph reveals himself to his brothers. More than 20 years beforehand, they had sold him as a slave down to Egypt. They thought perhaps he was dead or he was still enslaved. But as it turned out, he was now the viceroy of Egypt, one of the most powerful men in one of the most powerful empires in history. And he said to them, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? I want you to go back to the land of Canaan, find my father Jacob, bring him back to the land of Egypt, and I'll sustain him here because there was a famine in the entire Middle East. I'll look after him, and bring your families down and let my father Jacob come down. The brothers went back to Jacob, and now they had to break the news to him that Joseph was still alive, because Jacob was under the impression that Joseph had been killed by a wild beast. How were they going to give over this information in such a way that he would believe it? At first they told him, but he didn't believe them. And then he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent down from Egypt to take him up to Canaan, and he realized, yes, Joseph is still alive. What exactly did Jacob realize? And the sages tell us that suddenly, when he looked at those wagons, when he looked at all of the different food and provisions that Joseph had sent to him to travel down to Egypt, something jogged his memory. And what it was is all of those years ago, more than 2 decades ago, he had accompanied Joseph into the field, told him to go and to see to the welfare of his brothers. And Joseph said to him, Abba, Father, why are you accompanying me? And he said, you know why? Because there's a halakha, there's a law, that when you see somebody out, you have to accompany them a few meters from your house to protect them from any type of harm. This was the last thing that he had told his son. And now Joseph sends back wagons to accompany his father. And he reminds himself, this has to be Joseph, because this was the last thing that we studied together. The fact that you always have to protect those who are traveling. And I think the idea behind this is to teach us the importance of looking after people who are vulnerable. When a person is visiting a town, and now they leave your house, they're a guest, and they're going out into a town which is not familiar to them, you escort them, you help them, you give them advice, you tell them where to go, because they can be very vulnerable, and they can be left up to criminals to take advantage of. And Jacob taught Joseph, always accompany somebody and you'll be protected. And ultimately, this is what happened to Joseph. He was protected, so that when he revealed himself again to his father knew that this was the son that I taught. This is somebody who cares for those who are traveling and those who are vulnerable. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.